Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us. We begin this evening with horrific new details in a disturbing case out of Peoria.
Police say that a massage therapist filmed his clients before, during, and after their massages. They also say that Robert Miller had countless images of child porn and sex toys resembling children in his home.
Team 12's Colleen Sikora has our big story tonight from the 4th Avenue jail, where Miller remains tonight. And Colleen, what did he have to say to police about these accusations?
Well, guys, the masseuse actually claims that hidden camera was there to protect him in case he was ever accused by a client.
Hi, this is Bob again.
Robert Bob Miller posting videos on his YouTube, I'll Fix You, to help people find pain relief.
The trigger point is a knot in the muscle.
Now the massage therapist on video at 4th Avenue jail,
Robert Miller.
facing a judge for the first time. Police say a client found a hidden camera at Miller's business, New Serenity Massage Pain Management, located inside this medical office in Peoria. Court paperwork says Miller told police he had the camera in case clients made allegations of inappropriate conduct, and claimed the device only recorded audio and he never viewed the clips. The documents show investigators finding the edited file of the client on an SD card showing her undressing in the room. Peoria police also finding countless images of child porn at Miller's home. Miller claiming he bought the flash drives and SD cards at garage sales and secondhand stores.
I mean, it's photographs that were on somebody else's flash drive, not even mine.
But documents show Peoria police found printed images of child porn in Miller's home that were on the same SD card as other images showing child sex exploitation. Hidden cameras discovered in bathrooms, hotel rooms, dressing rooms. There are cases all over the country.
There's just a tiny, tiny little lens right there.
Michael McLaughlin runs a private investigating agency and says something as simple as a camera bug detector like this can help people identify hidden lenses.
If you look close enough, there has to be a lens, there has to be a way for them to see you, to record you. So, be suspect.
And just being aware can keep you from becoming a victim.
We as human beings would be surprised if we knew how often we were really being recorded in public.
Now, Miller is still in jail here tonight. He's being held on a $100,000 secured appearance bond, and he's due back in court next week. We're live in Phoenix. Colleen Sikora, 12 News.
All right, Colleen,